brace yourself, Thunder fans. It's more than 3 times likely that the Oklahoma City Thunder will pick 5th in the first round of the NBA draft, and it is that they'll land the coveted #1 ticket to Blake Griffin. But our Thunder experts here to tell you what Oklahoma City might do in that 5-hole. From the Opubco Studios in Oklahoma City, I'm Mike Sherman, and this is Inside Thunder Basketball with Darnell Mayberry. Darnell, the NBA draft lottery is almost upon us. Tuesday, Secaucus, New Jersey. So basketball fans in Oklahoma, they only have a few more days of anxiety and obsessing over how Blake Griffin might look in Thunder Blue. We'll know Tuesday, but we talked a lot about the Thunder's chances, 11.9% chance of getting that #1 pick. But what we haven't discussed much is what are the odds that they'll pick elsewhere. Talk about that.
Well, I mean, you have an 11.9% chance of getting that first pick, like you said. But like you said, it's 3 times more likely to get the 5th pick than it is to get the first pick. So I think Oklahoma City fans should brace themselves for not getting overly excited for getting Blake Griffin, because it's more likely that you're going to get the 3rd, 4th, or 5th pick than the first pick. Anything can happen. I mean, you've seen in the past few drafts that Chicago Bulls moved up. It happened to the Sonics when they got Kevin Durant. Portland moved up and got Greg Oden. So anything can happen. But I think this is still a good draft. If you have a top 5 pick, I think you're going to land a good player.
Okay, 60% chance if you take the 3, 4, 5, and 6, those slots. Take all those odds together, 60% chance that's where the Thunder will be. That's the range where they'll be drafting. Let's talk about some of the players that they might be looking at in those spots.
Well, if you go the 3rd pick, I mean, what'll really help this team is if Ricky Rubio stays in the draft. That way it doesn't matter. I mean, you want that #1 pick to get Blake Griffin, maybe the #2 to get Ricky Rubio, but if you don't get that 1 or 2 pick, if Rubio stays in, that makes players like Hassim Thabit fall down, James Harden fall down, Jordan Hill from Arizona fall down. So these 3 players, DeMar DeRozan from USC, so those guys are likely to go 3, 4, 5, 6. And if Rubio stays in, that helps your cause in case you get that 3rd, 4th, or 5th pick.
Okay, Darnell. As far as the hunt for a star player, are any of those 4 guys sort of franchise-changing players?
No, I don't think so. I mean, when you look at Blake Griffin, he's your star. Ricky Rubio is projected as a star. These other guys are sort of projected as role players, and you never know. I mean, when Kobe Bryant came into the league, nobody thought he'd be a star. I mean, they knew he was a special high school talent. And that could be what we're seeing with a guy like DeMar DeRozan. You never know what he's going to project to be, 5, 10 years from now. So with guys like that, you want to kind of pay close attention to. Paul Pierce, when he came into the league, I mean, he had a special career at Kansas, but, nobody projected him to be a finals MVP. I look at a guy like James Harden and say, why can't James Harden evolve and develop into a Paul Pierce-like talent? So you just never know until these guys actually get into the NBA. But as far as right now, Blake Griffin and Ricky Rubio are the only guys you project to be a star.
Okay, coming up Sunday on News OK and in the Oklahoman, Darnell and Mike Baldwin are going to have a package on the secrets of the NBA draft lottery, really breaking down the math and some of the things you might not know about the NBA draft lottery and how it's conducted. On Monday, it'll look a big package on where could and should Blake Griffin go, sort of the places he fits in well, best, and then also some of the odds, breaking down the odds of where he's going to go. And then, as our coverage goes on, really how you should watch the draft lottery if you're an Oklahoma City fan. But let's switch now to the NBA playoffs, which we are watching, and frankly, there's not as much chance in those, Darnell. But there is some players in the NBA playoffs who a lot of Thunder fans might look at and sigh and wonder what might have been. Tell me about some of who those players are, players with affiliations or past with this franchise that you kind of wonder, geez, wish they were still around.
Well, the biggest 2 are Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis. Ray Allen in Boston, Rashard Lewis with the Orlando Magic. A lot of people really don't want Ray Allen. At first, when they made the trade for Jeff Green, they felt like they were sort of dismantling the franchise to get out of Seattle. But now you're seeing Ray Allen struggle. He had a big shot last night to give the Celtics a lead against Orlando. But he's struggling throughout these playoffs. He had that 50-point game against the Bulls in the first round. But he's a guy that you look at and you say he's 30-plus years old. he doesn't belong on this Thunder team. Ray Allen is a guy they paid more than $100 million down in Orlando, and he's actually getting some criticism for not stepping up and playing like a $100 million man down in Orlando. So he's also a guy that, you know, is overpaid and sort of underperforms. He doesn't carry that team. So he's also not a guy that you want on this team.
Yeah, Rashard Lewis is in an interesting matchup too, because defensively we've seen Big Baby Davis kind of take him to the hoop a lot. That's a weird matchup where he's having to guard him, and he's not, as you said, Rashard Lewis is not having that series that maybe Orlando would look for that money. But that brings us sort of also to Big Baby Davis. He's a guy who had a little affiliation with this franchise and wasn't in their hands very long.
Yeah, well, he was a part of that Ray Allen, Jeff Green swap. I mean, the Sonics picked him on behalf of the Boston Celtics, so he was immediately traded to the Boston Celtics. He looks like a guy that would be a good fit for the Thunder. He's an energy guy. He hustles. He does all the small things. And now, what surprises me, he's developing a jump shot. And, I mean, he can shoot it out to 15, 17 feet with consistency. And he basically helped win them that game 5 in Boston last night. So, you know, I think you have to give credit to Big Baby Davis. He's a guy who came in as sort of a rebounder, defensive player, and an energy guy. He's expanded his overall game. He's going to make himself a lot of money if he keeps performing the way he's performing.
Free agent this year coming up, a restricted free agent, possibly out on the market. Who else? Is there anybody else in the playoffs that Thunder fans sort of look at and go, geez, I wish they would have made it to Oklahoma City?
Well, I blogged about this on newsok.com, and when you look at the Cavaliers, the only thing that's interesting to me about the Cleveland Cavaliers' cakewalk to the finals is Delonte West, the guard that used to be on the Seattle Supersonics roster. They traded him in that three-team, 11-player deal that sent Ben Wallace to Cleveland. Delonte West is averaging 14 points, a little over 4 assists, and just under 4 rebounds. I mean, he's playing well. He's playing defense. He's shooting the three. He's a guy who's cheap. He's only getting paid under $4 million this season. So the Sonics definitely could have kept him and brought him to Oklahoma City as a member of the Thunder if they wanted to. He's a guy I think would have fit well with this team.
Okay, staying on the NBA playoffs with our final question, your Lakers. Your man Kobe Bryant. You love to talk about the Lakers and their chances of getting back to the finals, and you know, you and I have had a little bit of a back and forth going. I thought the Rockets might win this series, not so much last night, a blowout in Game 5. Now it's on to Game 6 in Houston, but I think the question becomes now, can the Lakers, the team that played in the finals last year, a team that a lot of people thought would be the NBA champion this year, are they still looking like a potential NBA champion?
I think you can't write them off yet. I mean, I think it's still too early to write them off. There's no question the Cavs and the Denver Nuggets are playing much better basketball than the Lakers right now. But when you look at it, none of those teams, I mean, LeBron James is as close as it gets to Kobe Bryant. I still think Kobe is a better player than LeBron James. But Kobe is the best player in the game, in my opinion. I think he's the best closer. Nobody can, you still don't have a player who you can go to in the fourth quarter and close out a game like Kobe Bryant. You know, there have been some question marks with their effort so far in the playoffs. I mean, they really disposed of Utah pretty handedly in that first round. But that first game against Houston, I think that long layoff just really hurt them. I think that was had more to do with it than anything. And then when they went down to Houston, look, I think it's a cardinal rule in the NBA. When your best player is out, everyone else is going to raise their level of play. They're going to play a more emotional game, and that's what the Rockets did. The Lakers weren't prepared for that. You saw them come out and take care of business in Game 5 in L.A., and I think Game 6 will be over. This series will be over with in Houston.
Okay, how about coming out of the East? Are you looking at the Celtics to make it out of the Magic series, but then the Cavs will wait? Is it just the Cavs are waiting and it's a matter of, it's a coronation? LeBron James is going to be back in the finals.
Yeah, even if Orlando comes back from this 3-2 deficit, I think you know, it's a foregone conclusion that LeBron James, he's on a mission this year. The Cavs are on a mission. His role players are playing extremely well. Wally Szczerbiak is another guy who's on that Sonics roster who's playing well in the playoffs. So you know, the Cavs are really, they've had this moment in their head since losing to the Celtics last year in Game 7. So I don't think there's anyone that's going to stop them, whether it's the Celtics this year. They're missing a lot of players in Boston, and you know, I just don't think they have enough firepower to get over the hump. It's going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Okay, thanks, Darnell. That's all for Thunder Basketball with Darnell Mayberry, but you can stay with the best coverage team every day at News OK and every morning in the Oklahoman.